Good morning, this is Jack from Charging the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Thursday, the 30th of July. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts and knowledge for future trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, Doug, just wanted to mention that Tesla channel broke down yesterday. So obviously I laid out the targets below, which weren't that much lower, but the main thing is that isn't a bull flag anymore. So it has broken down. That's decent confirmation that the rest of the downside targets are probably pretty solid. Also, for everybody, I've done a post this morning detailing all the downside targets on the US indices and on Nikkei. So have a look at that, because I thought it'd be worth bringing together all of the current downside targets from these various indices. All right, great. Okay, I've redrawn the diamond tops on ES and NQ. The ES one has now broken down with a target in the 74.11 area. It's not in the 74.11 area. Bloody hell! What on earth was I thinking? Hang on, wait a second. All right, where is that target? Okay, 275. All right, sorry, 70.11 area. Better redo that chart before I post it this morning. Hang on, wait a second. Sorry, this is what happens when you're doing charts when you're sleepy. All right, great. So that's broken down. I think that's got a pretty good shot at making the target. On NQ, we've got a diamond top, which is broken down with a target in the 28.731 area. No, that isn't the target. So, good Lord, I really must have been sleepy last night. So, right, 2050. I think, so I'll be checking it later, but I think that's the 26.731 area. But I'll check that before I post the charts this morning. And again, I'm leaning towards that making target. It's actually a lot of the way towards it already. RTY, that's broken down from a head and shoulders with a target in the 28.23 area. YM, I mentioned another head and shoulders which hadn't broken down yet, but of course, and YM it has broken down, and that's on with a target in the 49.750 area. I got that one right. DAX, we've got an IHS which is broken up with a target in the retest this high here. I am thinking we're seeing a bit of a rally here. There are a couple of indications we might see that extend longer. We've got a 6-minute buy signal on YM. We might see a decent rally here. In which case it's just possible we can actually make this IHS target, but I think it's more probable that this is going to fail back into the lows. We shall see. ESTX is still forming a potential head and shoulders, hasn't broken down yet, and Nikkei, of course, has a head and shoulders which has broken down, and I was talking about that. That's got a target in the 51.665 area, and obviously I've got the target marked on the main Nikkei chart as well. All right, looking at the bigger picture charts. Looking at stocks, this was not a retest to low, which could be a double bottom setup. This was a straight up strong fail. So I'm at this point I'm looking for a target, the target to be reached in the 91.50 area, and I think it will be. Tesla, that very nice looking channel, it broke down yesterday. That is a break. We do not tend to see underthrows or overthrows on channels. When it breaks, the channel is gone. So this channel is gone. Almost a shame, as it was a very nice one, but not a shame, as it would have messed up the otherwise fairly solidly bearish picture here. In terms of SPX, nice diamond top here. That has now broken down firmly yesterday with a target in the 69.80 area, and I'm liking that. It's also a test of the 200 DMAs. I was mentioning the multiple 200 DMAs on the post yesterday. If we go lower than that, there is another obvious target, which is the rising support from the April low, and I've currently got that at about the 6,800 area. I'm really liking the downside here. I think the news is crap. I think tech is having the tech setup looks very solid to the downside, and tech has been leading this decline basically from the start. More than anything else, we've got the Iran war in the background, but this is a tech decline, except on the Nikkei. So I'm liking it. And the 200 DMA, even just as a retracement and an uptrend, is a very, very obvious target, which tends to get tested regularly and now seems like a good time. All right, looking at the Qs, we've got a target in the 642 area, but I am wondering whether it's going to make it down to the rising support trend line, which is in the 607, 608 area. In terms of Dia, now Dia and IWM, these are much more modest retracement targets. And the wedge we're looking at here is actually from March 26 rather than April 2025. Nonetheless, these are significant. And on a break below this trend line, this neckline, which we may see today or may see in a couple of days, the target would be in the 495.5 area, and that looks doable. In terms of IWM, again, it's another relatively modest retracement. But here, that would be a target in the 279 area. Again, this is actually just from the low in March, at the end of March. So we shall see. But I think those are much more modest and both look pretty durable as well. I think all of these are durable, although Nikkei that's a big move. On the other hand, there are big things happening in the Japanese space, and I'm thinking of writing a post next week just talking about the Nikkei and the yen. But I wrote a post back in 2014, and I said that what the Japanese central bank was trying to do was normalize interest rates. But I said, given the debt that they had, that was kind of like sitting in the middle of a lake of gasoline, trying to light a match. If you ever succeeded, then you might have a fire which went entirely out of control. So, and I think we might be seeing the beginning of that on Nikkei. So we shall see. All right. Question on QQQs. If we bounce first, what are you expecting on reaching before continuing down? Let's have a look. I'd expect it to not reach the 710.05 area. I mean, it wouldn't actually compromise anything because there's no head and shoulders to fail here if it did, but I'd be surprised if it got over 710.5. We'll see, but that should really hold today. That would be a worryingly large bounce if it got beyond it. All right, let's have a look at the DAX chart, where I'm still wondering about a possible retest of the all-time high, but the overall setup doesn't look particularly promising for that. And obviously, all of these indices are back below, below the daily middle bands, and I think pretty sure that also includes Dia, which I think will have broken down below the daily middle band yesterday, and very much it did so. That was a classic breakup and rejection. Normally, we would see follow through to the downside. So there's a lot of things suggesting here that we are going to see more downside. So I've got to say, main thing I'm looking for on ES today is a nice buy, a nice sell entry. So I'll be watching out for that. All right, great. Let's have a look at DX. Now, DX. This went down a lot yesterday, I think mainly due to the Fed than anything else, but obviously this is, we could be forming a larger flag, maybe making a lower low. This could be forming a triangle. I think I'm still looking for a retest of this high here and potentially higher. USD, obviously we've seen a big rally here. We've got a 60-minute buy signal brewing on DX. We've got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing on Euro. We've got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing on GBP. USD JPY, this has seen a significant decline. Now you've got to remember, when USD JPY is going down here, this is actually the yen getting stronger. When it goes up, that's the yen getting weaker. I'm thinking the yen might get a lot stronger over the next few months because of money being repatriated because at the end of the yen carry trade, which depended really on exceptionally cheap money. Now, interest rates in Japan have been returning to more normal levels. And given that that is the case, and the yen carry trade, basically, which is based on zero interest rates, borrowing in yen, is likely to be dying, and chances are a lot of assets will be sold and repatriated into yen, and that's likely to send the yen up. Now, on the bigger picture on yen, I've got a very nice looking rising megaphone. We've retested the high at 162, so we've got a nice looking double top, and I'm wondering whether they're going to see a turn soon, irrespective of what happens on the US dollar, which actually sends yen down a lot. That would affect the amount that the dollar could rise, but only to a degree. Yen is, I think, 7 or 9% of the US dollar basket. Mainly, it's about the US dollar basket's about the euro. In terms of USD CAD, still underperforming a bit here. We shall see. Australian dollar, we've got a head and shoulders which is broken down and is maybe failing. So we shall see. And NZUSD, we've still got an IHS here, which is broken up with the target in the 59.63 area, and that hasn't failed yet. So waiting to see if it will fail. So we shall see. All right, great. Let's have a quick look at bonds. Now, bonds, we went back and retested this low here. That wasn't altogether surprising. And we'll see how that goes, but we've got a weak 6-minute buy signal fix, and this is a potential level bottom, so I'm watching that. ZN didn't have as strong a reaction. We do not have a possible level bottom forming here. Looking at Brent, we've had this was basically a test of the daily middle band on both Brent and WTIC, and I'm just going to pull over to the shorter term charts here, and I've got a pretty good I've drawn in a couple of possible IHS necklines. We have formed an IHS and it's broken up. But as you can see on WTIC, it's come pretty close to failing. And I'm wondering if it might fail. And that's why I delayed doing my oil post from this morning to this afternoon. I've been waiting to see if this would fail, because obviously that changes the picture rather. In terms of the Brent chart, that's not as close to failing. And we've got a potential alternate IHS option here, but we don't really have that on WTIC. So if we see a fail here, that's going to look like a fail with a target at a retest of this low. I'm not seeing much of a reason to see that, apart from the talk that the Iranians and US might be thinking about doing talks again. I mean, oil should be a lot higher than this, but this is a very nice track to get it back to where it was last week. I like this, but on the other hand, if I have an IHS which breaks up and fails, well, that tends to be something that should be respected. So we shall see. All right, let's have a look at CL, where we've got an IHS which obviously may be failing. HO, pretty close to retest to the high. If we were forming an overall bull flag, we could just do a lower low here. That's always a possibility. On RBOB, again, which could be ABC flag potentially, but really I'm leaning towards the upside. NG is kicking around near the lows at the moment. Not much to suggest it's not going to go lower, and I've got a possible target in the 2.49 area. Looking at GC, we've got a possible retest of the low coming. That's looking like unfinished business below. We've already seen that on SI, and we've got a nice looking level bottom here. Palladium and platinum, I'm still wondering about possible low retests. HG, we've got just kicking around sideways at the moment, still wondering whether we might see a retest of the all-time high here. Looking at the other commodities, KC, this still looks like a bullish consolidation, which might be heading up towards the retest of the high. SB, this is a double top that's broken down with the 1398 to 1413 area, but at the moment it looks more like a bullish consolidation as well. CC, still stuck in a sort of binary scenario here. Either a head and shoulders is broken down with a target in the 4400 area, or this is a bull flag setting up a retest of this high here in the 6450 area. So we shall see. It's possible, of course, just possible, that it could be both, and that we could go down here while we're forming the bull flag, but normally that wouldn't happen. Lumber has seen a nice retracement here, no positive divergence. We do have a sell signal fixed on the bigger picture chart. On CT, kicking around sideways at the moment, leaning a bit towards seeing a retest of this high here. On ZW, we've got a little IHS here. It's nice and it's very good technical IHS, but obviously it's quite heavily downsloping. I've got an IHS which is broken up with a target in the 69350 area. Corn, this looks like a bull flag forming. Soy, this looks like a bull flag forming. ZL, we've seen a steep retrace. I'm still looking for a retest of this high here, but I am wondering if it might be forming a larger bull flag. On live cattle, we've got a little level bottom which is broken up with the target in the 23160 area. We've already made the possible near miss target on the buy signal though. HE, we've got head and shoulders which is broken down with some confidence towards the target in the 84.92 area, and the sell signal there has already made target. We shall see. All right, great. All right, no more questions, so I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care. I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. All right, cheers.